And Kashmir enters its third day under tense lockdown imposed by the Indian government after it ended the region's special status on Monday. Telephone and internet services remain blocked, and Kashmir is claimed by both India and Pakistan in full, though is ruled in parts by both. The Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has vowed to challenge India's decision at the UN Security Council. And for more, we'll be speaking with Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Now, Sushant, practically speaking, though, how will the scrapping of Kashmir's autonomy affect the people there?
Well, there are two parts to the answer. One is the concerns in Kashmir that, their identity, culture, the demography will change. I don't think any of that is going to happen. Kashmiris will remain Kashmiri, their culture and identity will remain what it is. So none of that is going to happen, and India never has had a policy of state-sponsored demographic transitions in any area like some of the other countries we know about. And if there are any voluntary settlers in Kashmir, that will be a couple of thousand at best who will go for business opportunities and stuff like that. So I think many of those concerns are unfounded. The other part of it is going to be political, because in terms of politics, I think to some extent, at least in the valley, people will feel somewhat disempowered with the new constitutional arrangements that have been made. Some parts of, some of the powers will now vest with the government in the center, and there will be actually a much more equitable distribution of power between the two regions that comprise the new union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The region of Jammu always felt discriminated against, always felt that Kashmir rode roughshod over it. So there will have to be some adjustments on that. But other than that, I think it's pretty much going to be business as usual.
But then some people are saying that to scrap Article 370, it is undemocratic. Do you agree to that?
Well, I don't know why they say it is undemocratic. You could say that loopholes in the constitution were used to see the Article 370 very much stays in the constitution. The only thing which has changed is that some of the powers that Article 370 gave to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the erstwhile state, those have been pared down, those have been basically been taken away. So in many ways, Article 370 remains, but it's toothless now. That was some of the loopholes which were used, and it was done through Parliament in a legal and constitutional way. So for people to say that this was done undemocratically, you could oppose the move of the government, but to say that this was undemocratic, I don't know where that's coming from.
And how do you think this is going to affect sort of tensions in Kashmir, if you like? Can we expect the situation there to worsen in the coming weeks?
Okay, so again, there are two parts to the answer. One is what happens internally. Now, the hope is that there could be some outbursts of protest, perhaps even violent, but ultimately things will settle down. People will realize that many of their fears were unfounded, and life will go back to normal, and in fact life will improve. At least that's the promise from the central government. The fear, however, is that given the kind of monumental changes that have come, in which in some ways, like I said, everything has changed, and in some ways nothing has changed. Now, given those changes, the fear is that if the valley explodes, then of course it will be a very long drawn out process of trying to settle things down, trying to assuage people, trying to reassure them, trying to reintegrate them, trying to address some of their concerns. So that would be a long drawn out process. That's as far as the internal part is concerned. On the external part, I think the Pakistanis are going to scream and shout. They already are. The only thing is that I hope they don't indulge in any adventurism. It seems that they are likely to because if reports coming in today are anything to go by, they have already released one of the masterminds of the Mumbai attacks, a notorious terrorist, internationally designated terrorist, Hafiz Saeed. He has been released. He had been taken into custody because the Pakistanis were trying to get around the FATF sanctions. He has been released today, so that is one sign that the Pakistanis might be wanting to up the ante and increase the export of terrorism into India. The other is that the Pakistanis are planning to beef up their troop presence along the line of control.
Sushant, I'm afraid we're going to have to stop the
lead to a
conversation
spiral of
there,
tension.
but thank you so much for speaking to us today. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation.